Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of MC Anime. MC here. We got a fellow co-host with us today, Leah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I took a nap before this, which was a terrible mistake. But now I am here and I've got a Coke Zero. So we're gonna get into today's topic.
So today's topic is anime iceberg theory. So for anyone that doesn't know what anime iceberg is, think it like a regular iceberg. You have the 10% that you see above the water, and you have the 90% that you don't see below the water. So,
All right.
we're going to have some Titanic action, but in a theory instead.
Yeah. Tiers lists are always really good, so you kind of know where you stand in regards to like the total community. So there's going to probably be some on here that you've heard of, and then you can kind of find out, where do you fall as an anime fan? Are you more casual? Are you more intense? Are you super obscure? That's what this list is kind of for, and it's fun and it's also subjective. So if you hear something on here that you know that seems to be unpopular, but you love it, this is based off of like popularity rankings and how much is talked about.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. And with the different tiers, we're going to have different categories of anime belonging to each tier. So we have the 10% that you see above the water to the 90% going down that's just so deep in the water you just can't see of the iceberg because it's so huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and 5 different tiers that we're going to do is universally known, well known, a cult favorite, unknown, and obscure. So those are the 5 tiers that we're going to use. So universally known is super popular in the anime community. Well known is semi-popular, but still transcends years or whatever people know. Cult favorites is like the classics that people might recognize. Unknown is more like the level just under cult classic. It has an audience, but it didn't reach a very huge audience and a very small community. And obscure is anime out there that's like not as well as known as the others. Like so out there, the outcast.
Yeah, these are going to definitely be like your really niche ones where I think even if you mention them to other people, they may not know who you're talking about or what show it is. So that's the difference between them and cult classics. Because usually cult classics are like Rocky Horror Picture Show. People have heard of it, but the people who really enjoy it and watch it is a specific group. If you can think of it in that terms, you're already on board for this list.
Gotcha. So let's dive into level 1, which is the known, very popular, universally known category. So for this one, we have, I don't know, let's do Code Geass is universally known. We have Tokyo Ghoul. K-On! is another one. Gundam Seed / Destiny.
I mean,
And feel
every
free to
single
name some of yourself.
yeah, because I mean, there's also the ones where like everyone knows. You've got Dragon Ball, you have Naruto, Attack on
Yeah.
Titan, Sword Art Online. Those ones are kind of like when you think of anime, those are probably going to be the first ones you see that come into mind. Also, Bleach,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Death Note. Like these are all things that have been so popular that not just Japanese
Mm-hmm.
media, but also American media has tried to either make movies for them, done big promotions for them, stuff like that. So you've got, your Demon Slayer and your My Hero
Tokyo Ghoul.
Academia. Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul. Everyone knows. I feel like, weirdly enough, Tokyo Ghoul would be one that you could classify as maybe kind of like weird or a little bit on the outskirts. But because
Yeah.
it's so popular, and people really love
Mm-hmm.
the story of the seasons, like everyone knows like what, or you just know the graphics, like the images for Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, true. And, Kono Basket is another one that's like big. It was really well known in the
Yes,
'80s, and then it's still kind of carried over. People still know it,
I
and
mean
there's no aging
Kuroko's no
effect here.
Basket.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kuroko's no Basket is popular even now. I think
yeah,
it's probably one of the more popular sports animes.
hmm
Outside of like maybe Haiku. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
It just has the
So, yeah.
intensity that some anime today don't deliver as much. So it still holds on to that.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mio no Nikki, and then we also Kamaga Kill. So Kami got Kill. So it's kind of interesting seeing the different anime on this list for its integrity and Con Shoujo as well.
Yeah. And the thing is like these are all popular shows, but by no means does it mean that they're bad. But
Hmm
these are, of course, going to be the ones that you're going to see at every convention stand. If they're selling merch of some kind, they're probably going to have one of these
hmm
shows up there, just in their normal drawing style. Like the
Yeah.
amount of like t-shirts and blankets and stuff that you can get with these characters' faces on it is astounding. Um,
hmm
and then even beyond that, the fan bases for these groups are pretty well popular and are
Yeah.
always having constant discussions. And almost anyone that you will find, even us on this list, like for us, we've seen these shows and we also like a variety of these. Like all of them that have been named, I've seen and I've also enjoyed.
Yep. So we kind of dive into level one. This is the 10% that you see if you see the iceberg. If you see the anime iceberg floating in the ocean, you will see these on the surface. So if you get crashed by with a ship and an iceberg, well, Attack on Titan is probably the reason why. So there you go.
Yeah, Attack
But
on Titan probably has the biggest fan base that like currently
yeah,
you will see and hear from. So yeah,
yeah.
if
There's
you're
gonna be some
interested in any of
titans. There's gonna be some giants hanging on the top of the iceberg. They're just gonna come crashing down the boat and start eating you. So anyway, that's a surface level. So if titans are waiting on the surface, I can't wait with at least below the water. So level two, well-known anime. You want to
now I
lead the
think
charge?
yeah, I think the thing when people think of like, well-known anime, especially in the context of an iceberg theory, you got to remember while there is that 10% that you see at the very top, the most popular ones and the one with the most visibility, you could still kind of see as you get closer and more into the world of anime, you still see these other ones pull up. So you have the Monogatari series, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Gintama, Sailor Moon, Gurren Lagann, Cowboy Bebop, Kill la Kill, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Log Horizon,
Yeah.
Madoka Magica. These are Eureka 7. Like these are ones where even though they span different genres, more than likely after you kind of get introduced to that first tier, where you have like that first anime introduction, these are normally the ones that you kind of watch also in tandem right afterwards. A lot
Yeah.
of these, yeah, a lot of these I see from, you know, oh my goodness, Tsunami and Adult Swim were like a
Mm-hmm.
great way that a lot of these were introduced to people. And then also back when you could go online and kind of like torrent on sites and hope for the best with different like sketchy websites, you could watch these shows that weren't available to American audiences right away.
Yeah. So not much of a need to do it now, but back then, well, people had different stories.
Yeah, but it
But
was a
yeah.
different world back then. But again, yeah, these are well known enough that you've either probably heard of them or they're on your list to watch from popular animes.
Mhm.
And the fan base is pretty large for them as well.
True. And instead of titans attacking you, if you're underwater, I guess maybe spaceships were attacking you, like from Cowboy Bebop. So who knows? Maybe the outlaws is coming to you and want to get revenge. What do you think about that?
I mean, I love those storylines. I feel like these are the ones that go even further into the like, oh, what if I was in this world? What would I do kind of storylines. Where
Mm.
you really like to follow the adventure and you fall in love with the characters from the choices that they make. So it's not just mass popularity, but I know a lot of these shows have a lot of fan favorites. Like Gintama, I think is one of the like it's very weird humor and like spoof humor where they make fun of almost every other anime, but it's known enough that people are like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that show." And it's kind of like, "Oh, that's kind of like the blueprint for weird spoof humor shows." Sailor Moon, I would personally put Sailor Moon maybe in the first category at the first tier since it's really popular like with Dragon Ball. But for other people, they might have just seen Sailor Moon and never watched it like as a kid, but they know of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Log Horizon, the original SAO, but apparently SAO is even more popular.
Yeah, SAO took that spot. I mean, but you have to admit when your anime is that good that it makes people forget that there was something else before it. Um, it makes it into the top tier category.
True. It's kind of one of those we have to pay homage and pay tribute to. Maybe
Oh,
not tribute
absolutely.
as volunteer, but hey, who knows?
Yeah. And I think that for these shows, these are also like great list builders for people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're after you kind of watch that first tier, or maybe you just know about them and you're like, okay, well maybe I don't want to be a Naruto like fanboy, or maybe I don't want to start off with a Kame ga Kill or Hitalia. Like maybe I want to
Yeah.
try something different. These are also great shows to go with. Like even though Inuyasha is a very popular show and what I would put in my first tier, immediately afterwards I saw Cowboy Bebop and Full Metal Alchemist. And I think I liked those ones even more than when I watched my very first anime.
True. And
Yeah.
don't forget, we got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as well. So,
Which is
Gurren
my
Lagann,
baby.
maybe in some fantasy off world in another dimension, we have the vampires from Bizarre Adventure, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, attacking you underwater as the ship sinks. So you get even more devastation of the Titanic effect.
That is horrific. Granted, that also kind of happened in the show. Um, a beautiful visual. My boy Dio. Just the worst, the biggest hater in the world. Like, also, some of these shows you will start to see like a theme. It will either, like, the deeper and more obscure you go, you'll also find some character traits that do appear in the more popular animes, but they are very much so highlighted in
Yeah.
these, like, lesser known shows. It's like the thing, like, they're crux. So
Oh yeah.
that's a cool thing to look out for.
So as we move from well known, we go to the cult classic, I believe. So level 3, cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
We do a deep dive into like shows Ghost in the Shell, Nana, FLCL, Ping Pong, Zeta Gundam, Kaiba, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Princess Tutu, uh, Nikeo, Berserk, Sayonara, Sabatsu Sensei, Gumbuster, Revolutionary Girl Utina, uh, Caesar no Joe. So we get into more of the cult classics. So what do you think of the cult classic category?
I love the cult classics because you'll find a lot of stuff on this list. We'll end this like part of the iceberg that other people would consider in different tiers just because of how long they've been around or maybe how recognizable the name is. But the big difference is that these ones, like the fan base, is very unique. Like I haven't seen people write essays upon essays on things like Tokyo Ghoul or well, no, not on One Piece. You've done that on One Piece. But maybe like K-On! Or Naruto. But I have seen people get really in depth with shows that are in this category, like Ghost in Shell,
Mhm.
where they talk about like psychology and ethics and technology and humanity merging. Where they talk about Berserk and the
Mhm.
levels of depravity you may have to go to as a human to stop evil. And like Code
Yeah.
like Neon Genesis, of course, is always going to be the top one for like really discussing psychology and the deeper levels of human
Mhm.
existence. So these shows are really good for that, where they create great discussion, and you can have these talks again and again because as you change as a person, your perception on these shows might also change.
True. And also with this particular category with cult classics and stuff, as we dive deep into the creepy pasta of this anime Iceberg, we also have to keep in mind that, you know, because of these shows being so high representation at the time, they kind of hang on to that popularity status as a cult classic. And, cult
Mm-hmm.
classics usually drive memories from people who watched it, new audience getting introduced to it, new discussion, still relevant in the community, and overall be a source of likability in some areas that people in the higher tiers might not give a chance or be open to give a chance because they already seen the other categories and want to try something unique.
Yeah, I will also say that these ones have a better chance of not kind of being remade or recreated by
Mhm.
a third party or a different company or industry for extra gain, just because it has such a unique tone and storytelling method that it's very easy to mess them up if you try to change either the medium that you do it by, um, or the way that you go about doing the storytelling. Like when the creator for Berserk passed away, the whole community kind of as a whole was like, well, hopefully we can finish out the story, but I really don't want to go too far off from what his vision is because it's so uniquely defined, like in the DNA of the manga and of the show.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Definitely. We had Titans before, we had vampires before, but in this one on level 3, we have the giant angel demons from Neon Genesis Evangelion attacking you as you go deeper down the iceberg. So what do you
No
think of that
single shot.
thought?
Honestly, I feel like the farther down we go, the harder the monsters are to defeat. Like I can beat up a bunch of teenage ninjas in Naruto. Or, maybe I can like find some holy water or make the water holy if I'm like dealing with vampires. But when you get to like alien, half human like mechanisms, it's a little tough. It's a little tough. It's a little hard. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
getting
as
crazier
the
and
closing
crazier
to
as we
level
go.
3, to cult classic, and we pay tribute to angels. Let's go to level 4, which is the unknown category. So, what do you
Mhm.
think of the unknown category?
The unknown
Yeah.
category, I think is one of probably the more uncontroversial ones. Like it's the one that you can kind of name off different animes that you in particular know for sure other people probably either haven't heard of or will never check out just because they don't have much exposure to it. Like I have some on my own list, and I know that you probably have some as well. But we can go through just a couple of them.
Yeah, we can.
Like like
So,
got Ergo Proxy,
yeah.
Serial Experiments, Lane,
Hmm.
Paprika, Kino's Journey, End of Evangelion, Tatami Galaxy, Mind Game, A Letter to Momo, Motsu, like Mushishi, which I will say
Hmm.
Mushishi is is interesting to see on here, but definitely does fit.
Yeah. The Skycrawlers, Ego Proxy,
Yeah.
Textile Arrays. So we have different Mononoke, different levels to the unknown category that can be kind of definition of how usual icebergs go with creepypasta. So
Yeah. And I do think that when you like you add in the portion of creepypasta, people might think that it has more of a horror element to it, but some of these really are just have more of a dystopian aspect to them as well, that are on
yeah.
this list, or they have a universe and reality concept that is so far left of everything else that we've mentioned that they really
Hmm.
do kind of stand on their own, a
Oh
very
yeah.
distinct taste. Yeah. Like if we were like naming the other ones, like maybe like oregano or cayenne pepper or something like that. Like these ones are more of like ghost pepper. When you know what they are when you see them.
Oh my gosh.
I've been watching
True.
Food Wars. Don't judge me.
What the rating scale for peppers?
Yeah, I've been watching Food Wars, so now I'm just your girl is stuck. I've only got ingredients in the mind.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Um, but yeah, like this list, like the ones that we just named off, like for instance, Ergo Proxy premiered on Adult Swim in the
Yeah.
earlier 2000s. And while it aired for the full season, to me, like until I actually had the internet to like peruse, and after the big hype of when you get the internet and you do all the other stuff, make your friends, meet your different fandoms and stuff, I remembered it almost like a fever dream because it was just such an odd show. It's so dark and so kind of like creepy and interesting and had elements I hadn't seen before that when I looked it up and realized that it was something that I had actually seen all the way through, that was exciting. And that was a different level of cult fan favorite exciting. It was like, oh yeah, that very, very unique thing that I watched once. Oh, that's real. That wasn't just me like thinking up my own anime in my dreams. Yeah.
So now instead of vampires, titans, and you know, giant angels, how about the skycrawlers coming after you?
Um, just take me to the king. Like honestly, at that point, like forget it. Honestly, forget it. I probably would have gave up at Neon in Jojo. Like I would have stopped there, but here we are. Here we are. We're sinking at this point. Like if you're this far under, yeah, babes, the rip current definitely took you. So welcome.
Hey, maybe the whip current took you and you were just dodged the angel, and then you see the skycrawlers coming after you.
There is nothing worse. There is nothing worse than thinking you're safe in an anime only to get a worse death. The amount of times I have
Exactly.
seen that, I hate it so much. Where you're like, "Oh, sweet, we're fine," and it's like, "Nah." Oh, so tough.
Yeah. So as we move on to the next category, we go to level 5,
This
which is the
continues.
obscure genre. Even more unknown than the unknown category.
Yeah, these
We
are the
have,
ones.
yeah.
These are the ones where it's like I feel like these are the ones that will take you back onto those kind of like torrent and
Mhm.
piracy sites where you can't
Yeah.
even find it either like on Crunchyroll or like Funimation or something.
Mhm.
Like they're not on the regular streaming sites, and if you don't have the actual box
Yeah,
set, you may never watch it.
exactly. We have like anime like Cat Soup, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, The Pale Cocoon, uh, Angel's Egg, uh, Gundam Reconquista in G, and then we also have Ioi Bugaku. So, which ones on this list do you know about?
Cat Soup I've seen. Um, Awa Bungaku I've seen, and
Mm-hmm.
that is it. Like I don't even know
Well,
what
you don't know
Angel's
the
Egg
Legend of the
is.
Galactic Heroes? It's a class. Well, it's a well known from the 80s.
As you have it at the very bottom of this list in the obscure category.
Yeah,
Is that?
it's very old, very dated.
Oh, you know what? We've had this conversation. We had it in the top like 100 animes because it's one of the animes on your list in the top
Yeah,
100, and
true,
it was one that I haven't seen
true. I'll give you that.
because that one is a space opera, right?
Yeah, but it's mostly like a war going on, and they take on episodes to tell it. So, a lot going on. And then we also have Space Runaway, and we also have Ididen as well. So,
Yeah. So like these are ones that outside of maybe being also difficult to like come across yourself,
mhm, yeah,
you'll also find even less people who probably know about it, but then you'll have folks like our host here who, if they have seen it, they know pretty much everything about it and are even able to like rate it within a list of 100 other animes.
true. Oh, okay. So, and I guess with
Hmm.
this deep dive, you know, if you got this far, you have to beat the Titans, the vampires, the giant angel demons, the Skycrawlers coming at you every which way to meet up with Cat Soup to go and get souls. You're basically in the underworld at this point.
Yeah, but at least it sounds cute.
True, but do you really want to be in like purgatory to get be trapped there forever?
No, no, I do not. I feel like
So
that rhetorical question
basically,
wasn't needed.
you get here if uh you get here automatically if you get to level 5. But with the other
Hmm.
ones, it's a possibility that you might get here. So if you really think about it, if the Titans get you, well, you're all the way down to level 5 in Purgatory. If the vampires get you, you're here. If the angel demons get you, well, you end up here. And the Skycrawlers, if you get eaten by the Skycrawlers or they do something to you, I guess Purgatory is where you be.
Very nice. Very comforting, I must say. Very, very comforting.
I mean, the sometimes with icebergs, you have like particular people who would take it really dark, really creepy. So I kind of wanted to go away from that, but kind of doing
Okay.
the deep dive example, I just went with it and it actually paid off.
Yeah, I mean, like there's also so many more that can be added to these like different
Mhm.
tiers. Like, I would put probably in the I don't know if I want to put it in cult favorite or if I want to put it in like the obscure category. But there's like an anime that another one that was like a fever dream that was called ROD, which was Read or Die. And like
Oh.
it was yeah, and it was like a show, but it also had a movie. And I remember the movie just because like it had, of course, all the beautiful females with exaggerated features, big bad guy who was trying to destroy the world, but also like the main female in the show for Read or Die is able. She's like a librarian type of looking, character,
Mhm.
and can control papers and books to basically be weapons and like tear people apart, which is cool. Like I was like, oh wow, that's so interesting. And as someone who loved growing up reading books, I was like, oh, that's nice. I've never seen a character be based off of a hobby that I actually do in real time. So that one is like one that I've never seen anyone ever talk about in their list or ever go over from like 90s anime or early 2000s anime. But yeah, I
Mhm.
throw that one in there. Or like Gunnex Sword, which I would put as like maybe like a cult favorite. It was like it's kind of like you
Mhm.
mix Trigun with a like Gurren Lagann. So you've
Mhm.
got big old robots in a post-apocalyptic city and then a gunslinger. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. And
It's
I
an anime
guess
for everything.
anime that I would not have included yet. Maybe, you know, maybe Spice and Wolf, put it like as a unknown category. It's not really a cult classic. It is not very popular.
Hmm. I
So,
don't know. I think I might put it as a cult classic. I mean, the people that I know who've seen it really do
yeah.
like the show. Um, like me excluded, because I know I started watching it and didn't like completely finish it. But I would like, yeah, I put it like in the same category as like Kino's Adventure. Like those who've seen it love it and like it, and those who haven't probably have never heard of it or like lightly have heard of it.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a little tribute to the anime iceberg theory. We had a good discussion about it. We kind of delve into the titans, to the vampires, to the angel demon, to the Skycrawlers, to purgatory itself. So, we stayed in theme a little bit. Didn't do off track too much. And I also,
Yeah.
put some anime that's like not not too into the theme of dark or creepy-ish. So I did do that.
You
So
pulled it off. Yes, yes.
so
Yeah.
yeah, some icebergs out there really want to give you the shock factor. Like sometimes they do it with facts, sometimes they do it with shows, sometimes they do it with concepts. It's a really interesting way to mind map how you want to classify things, give your personal ranking in a category base. You don't assign a
Hmm.
number, but you assign the tier that goes with it. So you group it with other things. It's not just by itself. So what do you think of the anime iceberg theory or iceberg theory in general?
It's going to be a little bit different, but this I think in these like most recent weeks we've we've started to talk about different shows that you wouldn't hear about as much. So hopefully that started to add more to people's list so that they themselves can kind of like take the time and find what they're interested in. And maybe
Oh
you're going to
yeah,
find a
and
genre that you've never heard of before and fall right into it.
true. And for verbatim, if you want to take our suggestions, please do. At least in some capacity, I would love to
Mm-hmm.
hear some fan related story of oh yeah, I love that suggestion. I watched it and overall really love you for it. Something like that would be interesting to hear about. Hey, who knows?
Yeah. And like, guys, always try something new. Do it in like every aspect of your nerd adventure. Like, definitely do it with
Mm-hmm.
animes and like all the pop culture that you take in. Oh my God, that reminds me. I finally decided to get into magic. A friend
Oh,
tried to teach me, and he
okay,
completely obliterated me every round. So that was fun.
okay. But
So
yeah,
avoid those moments, but
exactly.
have the good ones.
And don't take a deep dive into the anime iceberg that I created because you're going to get some interesting threats to chase you along the way and bring you down to purgatory.
Good suggestions. Good tidbits to let the fans know.
Yeah,
They might get stuck in purgatory.
yeah, true. But thank you for being with us, and hope the audience can create some of their own ideas based on what we've presented. Please don't forget to support MC Anime Podcast on the website, the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Hot Music, and Amazon Music. And be part of the Patreon community for the MC Anime community. MC Animators. Over and out, and thanks, Leah.
Thank you. Talk to you later, guys. See ya.
Bye.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.